NatureScot knowingly issue licenses with potentially lethal consequences for protected non-target seabirds like the red-listed Leach's storm petrel. They knowingly accept collateral harm to neighbouring seabirds that are already fighting daily for survival against avian influenza, climate change, overfishing, plastic pollution, collapsing marine ecosystems, and entanglement in discarded fishing gear. And that's why my Guga Hunt petition exists, because right now, the fate of seabirds seems to depend largely on geographical luck.
Hello and welcome to the Ocean News Podcast, an audio series in which we take a deeper dive into the most important stories and biggest headlines from the Oceanographic newsroom. I'm Eva Cahill, the editorial assistant here at Oceanographic, and today's episode takes us to the remote edges of the Scottish coastline, where a centuries-old seabird hunting tradition is once again under scrutiny after a Freedom of Information request reveals the damage being done extends far beyond the birds being targeted. The Guga Hunt is an annual expedition to Suliscare, a rocky, uninhabited island sitting 40 miles north of Ness on the Isle of Lewis, in the Outer Hebrides. Every August, a 10-man team known as the Men of Ness makes the journey to spend 2 weeks on the island, scaling its dangerous cliffs to harvest young gannets, known as Guga, before they are old enough to fly. The practice dates back to the 15th century, allowing the survival of a population in some of the harshest conditions in the British Isles, and the birds were an essential source of vitamin D and other essential nutrients. Guga hunting was an essential survival skill, which gave the community a measure of independence, and at the time, gannet numbers were soaring. The context today, however, is quite different. Gannets now hold amber conservation status due to recent population declines, and the hunt itself has taken on a more complicated character. While participants maintain it remains a meaningful cultural practice and a source of food, the meat is now considered a delicacy rather than a necessity. A single bird can be sold for between £30 and £40. For years, environmental campaigners and conservationists have been raising concerns about the hunt, on welfare grounds, and also because of questions over what an annual cull means for a species already in decline. And those tensions sharpened in the summer of 2025 when the hunt was granted a licence for the first time in 4 years, following a pause driven by fears over avian influenza. Last November, award-winning nature photographer Rachel Bigsby launched a petition calling for the hunt to be banned. It's gathered over 100,000 signatures. The petition will be carried forward to the new Parliament following the May 2026 election, ensuring the issue will face continued scrutiny in the months ahead. And this week, the pressure intensified. A Freedom of Information request submitted by advocacy group Protect the Wild has obtained documents revealing that the hunt poses a risk not only to the gannets, but that it also endangers a species in a far more precarious position. Suliscare is home to 6% of the entire UK breeding population of Leach's storm petrel, a bird classified as red-listed on both the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species and the UK's Birds of Conservation Concern. That designation places it among the species of highest conservation priority in the country. The documents obtained by Protect the Wild show that NatureScot officials warned the hunt causes disturbance that, in their own words, could cause a reduction in breeding success through nest abandonment or chick mortality. That disturbance, the document explains, stems from hunters blocking access to burrows, disrupting feeding patterns, and causing stress and disorientation among the birds. Meaning a licensed hunt, approved by Scottish Government authorities, is, according to those same authorities' officials, putting a red-listed species at risk in one of its most important breeding grounds. The Scottish Government now faces growing calls to revoke the licence entirely, with a petition backed by more than 100,000 people heading into a new parliament and internal government documents raising serious conservation concerns. The question being asked with increasing urgency is, how long can a cultural tradition be permitted to override the protections that exist for some of Britain's most vulnerable wildlife? We spoke to petition leader Rachel Bigsby to get her thoughts on the news.
This Freedom of Information request confirms exactly what I've warned about since launching my petition to end the Guga hunt. NatureScot knowingly issue licenses with potentially lethal consequences for protected non-target seabirds like the red-listed Leach's storm petrel. NatureScot acknowledged the disturbance caused by the Guga hunt is unavoidable even with mitigation in place. Blocking burrows, disrupting feeding, causing stress, disorientation, abandoned nests, and starving chicks are all recognised risks for vulnerable non-target birds. Now, these Guga hunt licenses do not only authorise the killing of up to 2,000 gannet chicks a year, they knowingly accept collateral harm to neighbouring seabirds that are already fighting daily for survival against avian influenza, climate change, overfishing, plastic pollution, collapsing marine ecosystems, and entanglement in discarded fishing gear. And that's why my Guga hunt petition exists, because right now, the fate of seabirds seems to depend largely on geographical luck. Seabirds are protected from harm on every other island in the UK except Sula Scare. I cannot accept that contradiction, and I cannot stay silent while vulnerable seabirds continue to pay the price for it.
If you would like to learn more about this story or other stories related to our blue planet, subscribe to this podcast or head to the Oceanographic Newsroom. This has been the Ocean News Podcast. I've been Eva Cahill. Thank you for listening.